Hi everyone, my name is Jessica Paholski. I am the creator of Once Upon a Pesto, and today we're going to be talking all things Moroccan food, recipes, culture, and we're hearing from none other than Leila Bailey, who is from Morocco. She grew up in Morocco, moved to Texas for graduate school, and then after she had some kids, then she decided full in, I'm going to go all food, and her passion for food is amazing. Like I said, she's from Morocco, so she brings this culture and knowledge, having grown up in Morocco, to what she does. Her blog is filled with delicious recipes from Morocco, from the Mediterranean, and some healthy recipes as well, and it's Petite Apron, and that is also her handle on Instagram. So I encourage you to comment, ask questions, and tag her. Again, her handle is Petite Apron, and she would be happy to answer any questions. Invite her up here. And again, this is Leila Bailey, and we're going to be talking about Moroccan food and recipes. And there she is. Hello, Leila. How are you?
Hi, Jessica. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining today. I was just introducing everyone, telling about where you come from. And so let's dive right into, Moroccan food, recipes, and culture. Tell us about your journey from Morocco to where you are now today in Texas.
Yeah, awesome. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me today. I'm so excited to be here with you.
You're welcome.
Well, my journey from Morocco to Texas, that is quite a journey, actually. First of all, my name is Leila Benjamin Bailey. I was born in Morocco. I was raised in Morocco. I studied in Morocco my whole life until graduate school. And then about 10 years ago, I came to the US for grad school. I majored in marketing, and then I started working in digital marketing for about 5 years. By then I was already married. I met the love of my life here in the US. Mm-hmm. And then I decided to make Texas my home away from home. And then a few years ago, my daughter was born. And I decided to quit my job and become a full-time mom. And that's actually how I did not discover actually my passion for cooking. My passion for cooking has already been there. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I got from my parents, from both of them. And it's something I guess that is in my genes. And it's something that I love, I enjoy, because mostly it reminds me of the people that I love the most, and precious moments that I spent with those people.
Wonderful. And what about Moroccan culture kind of stood out to you in that transition when you moved here for graduate school? What was that big change like from Morocco to the United States?
Well, I really don't know if that was that big of a change, because as they say, you can take the girl out of Morocco, but you can take Morocco out of the girl. So it's I guess we have the American and the Moroccan cultures have so many things in common. Basically, family. One of the things that that are very precious to us is family. That comes number one, and number two is hospitality. That is one of the basic things in Morocco. We love hospitality. We love hosting people in our homes. So coming to the U.S. and bringing this hospitality culture here was one of the things that I enjoy the most. And as far as Moroccan food goes, it is quite different from our American food. I know that American food is a mixture of a lot of cultures that mm-hmm. came together, but it is something that is quite unique in its kind.
So tell us more about it. Growing up, what was that family food mealtime experience like for you, and when did you kind of spark that passion? I know you said you watched your parents cooking, but when did you start doing things yourself in the kitchen, and what was that like?
Well, to be honest, when I came here the first time, I was cooking. I'm not gonna lie, I was cooking sometimes when I could and when I could afford it, because back then I was still a student. Uh-huh. But then it wasn't until I actually quit my job that I started focusing more on cooking and baking. Needless to say, I never went to school for baking nor cooking. But I'm gonna say it is something that I learned from my parents. Because as you said, like growing up, it's you watch your parents, you watch everything that they do. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but my parents, growing up, my parents had the restaurants. And so, there are a lot of recipes that are on my website that are actually from what they used to serve.
Wow.
And it's basically Mediterranean, slash Moroccan. But that's pretty much it, like growing up in a culture that is, that's really appreciates family time and food time is, kind of like uh, shapes you in a different way because, like you come back from school, you are waiting for the tea time. Tea time is very precious for us. You're waiting for tea time, you come back from school, you sit around the round table and you have, Moroccan tea, you have a bunch of cookies, a bunch of flatbreads, a bunch of pancakes, you name it. And then, by the time you are done, you look at the clock and you're like, oh man, we're gonna have dinner soon. So it's, it is the culture, I guess. We eat so many times per day. We just enjoy eating food.
Tell us more about that. You said, you have tea time after school. Take us through a normal day in Morocco. Breakfast, and then, kind of what are typical foods in each meal until you go to bed?
Yeah, of course. So you wake up in the morning, you have either Moroccan tea or coffee. As a child, I guess still Moroccan tea and coffee. I've always drank tea, I'm not a big fan of coffee. But tea we call ete. So we have ete in the morning, and then we have msemen sometimes. Msemen is a flat bread that is like, it's square shape, and it's layered. It's made sometimes of whole wheat, sometimes of plain wheat, and some semolina. Other than that, you could have eggs with salt and cumin. We love cumin as a spice. We sometimes have Moroccan pancakes that I call 1001 whole. They are just cooked on one side. And I think that's pretty much it for breakfast. We sometimes have baguette, French baguette. We slice it. We put butter jam or honey. That's I think that's our breakfast. And then you go to school. You come back. We usually have either a tagine or something grilled for lunch. And then, as I said, you go to school, you come back. It's it's the afternoon tea time, and you cannot miss it. So you're really looking forward to it. And after that, for dinner, it's usually something something small, not heavy. We sometimes have like either noodle soup that we call shari abahib, or I don't know, or rice with milk or something really small because you've already had a big lunch.
So would you say lunch is the biggest meal of the day?
Usually, yes. But I think for working parents, now things have changed, have shifted. Growing up, my mom was a stay-home mom. But then when I went to college, she started her own business and stuff. She, for working families nowadays, I think I would say probably dinner time is the most important meal because, kids now usually eat at school. Or, there is no time for lunchtime nowadays.
Yeah. And when was the last time, Leila, that you've been back to Morocco?
Oh man, it's been quite some time. It's been about 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
But life happens. COVID hit, and we were planning to go so many times, but there's always something that's it's a 14-hour flight, so it's kind of hard to plan your vacation given that in the US you only have 2 weeks of vacation per year, and kind of hard to plan to go there. It's just hard for us folks who live in North America.
Yeah. And give us, I guess, a little geographic kind of perspective of, so Morocco, for those, watching and aren't super familiar, it's in Northwest Africa, just below Spain and Portugal. So in the culture, Leila, how is that, so close to Europe, but part of Africa, how does that play out in the culture in the country?
Well, I think that Morocco, as you say, being located in the northern tip of Africa, and overlooking both the Mediterranean and the Atlantic Ocean gives it such a huge strategic, advantage, and it's been such, destination of, throughout the years for so many like occupations or or visits or whatsoever. And that strategic location has given it advantages for not only ingredients such as, like seafood, like amazing quality of seafood, but also, the climate, it's played such a role on, on how fresh and how organic and how tasty the veggies and fruits are. And as I said, because it was such a destination, the trade routes made it possible for Morocco to have such an arrangement or blend of spices coming to it throughout, like through India, through a from a lot of countries. And not only that, but Morocco, being in that place, it's not only, was it like strategically located, but it's also had a lot of influences when it comes to culture. A lot of cultures have influenced it throughout the years. On one hand, you have the Berbers, who are the natives of Morocco, and and all the tasty and amazing foods and recipes that they came up with, through thousands of years, and also the cookware, that they had. It's just amazing, when you think about such a, what a rich culture it is. And then on the other hand, you have all the other cultures or civilizations that passed by. You have the Greeks, the Phoenicians, the Andalusians, the Arabs, the Jewish, the Muslims, the Mediterraneans in general, and also influences from cultures, because we're still in Africa, influences from cultures from African and sub-Saharan, countries. So can you imagine like all of these cultures coming together and creating a blend of foods, and flavors? It's just amazing when you think about it. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I just got carried away.
That's okay. This is so fascinating. I love, we said at the very beginning that, America is this blend of cultures, but a lot of times Americans, if our worldview is, if we're being honest, we think a country elsewhere is only like that country. But a lot of times, like you said, Morocco is very similarly to America, a melting pot of its own, just,
yes,
a different mix of cultures.
Yeah. And you have also like, not only like cultures, but also like different accents, just like, South from, versus North in here. And you have different dialects and even, languages. The Berber language still exists in Morocco. I do not speak it, so I do not understand it. It's a whole different language from Arabic. But, it's nice to see that a lot of those cultures still exist, And, I don't know if I mentioned it, but also, like people in Morocco, if you were to go to Morocco, you will find a lot of people that speak English, but also a lot of people speak either Arabic or French or Arabic or Spanish. So it's like, I think it just makes it easy for people to be hospitable in Morocco because, they can speak and adapt to any culture,
It makes, others feel welcome. And that is huge. I want to kind of segue into that tourism realm. I know that having worked at a teen travel company in the past, that, the Moroccan spice markets, you see those in pictures, you see just gorgeous skylines and landscapes in Morocco. What is that spice market experience like?
Oh, well, the spice markets, that you bring in that memory because that's something I, just brings me back home. The spice markets, you're going to find it in pretty much in every city, it's going to be, you go to the markets, let me rephrase that. So every city has a part of like, if it's like an imperial city, it's going to have an old city, and that looks like a medieval city. It's a small city within a city, okay? And in those imperial cities, such as Tétouan, Rabat, Fez, Marrakesh, and Meknes, those cities, you go to that small medieval town, and you're going to find sections. You're going to find a spice section, a section dedicated to to Moroccan clothing, a section that is dedicated to pottery, different styles. But when you speak about spices, you're not gonna be buying like small jars of spices like you go into the store. It's just gonna be a huge mound of spice, in every store, and you're gonna find so many mounds in every store, and that's gonna be turmeric powder or curcuma. There is gonna be ginger or ground ginger. There's gonna be cumin. What else? Cardamom, cinnamon, ground cinnamon, paprika, we call sufla hamra, and then you got like the spicier versions, like the spicy paprika and so forth. It's you go there, the guy, of course, he has a scale, he weighs how much he wants of each, and it's usually very, very cheap, to buy spices in Morocco. It costs nothing because everybody in every household uses, a bunch of those,
Mm-hmm.
And then you have what we call ras al hanout. Ras al hanout translates to, well, it literally translates to the top of the store, but it means, top shelf, it's a blend of like so many spices together. You have like ground coriander, cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, paprika, cumin. And, sometimes, it depends from city to city. Some cities include a mixture of spices that others don't. And then it depends, on, in each city and, each culture actually.
Wow. What is, if you had to say, what is the importance of these spices in Moroccan cooking in general? What would you say, Leila? You see it, I can't even imagine walking through and seeing mountains and mountains, like you described it, these spices, whereas, typically what I'm used to is, a little jar.
Yeah.
So obviously it plays a huge role in the culture and the cuisine. So talk to us a little bit about that.
The spices are very important in the Moroccan cuisine. There is no cooking without Moroccan spices. But with that being in mind, not every recipe in the Moroccan cuisine uses a lot of spices.
Okay.
There are some recipes such as couscous, which a lot of people think that it uses ras al hanout and it uses a bunch of spices. But no, that is not true. An authentic Moroccan couscous only uses ginger, curcuma, salt, pepper, and I'm not gonna describe those as spices, but onion and garlic, and some olive oil. But a lot of people they think it's Moroccan. Let's just add a bunch of spices together, and that's gonna be a Moroccan dish. But that is actually not true. However, there are a lot of other recipes, such as like preserved lemon. Chicken with preserved lemon and olives. And chicken with how would I say that? It's a specific sauce we call dghamira. Those actually you can put a lot of spices in them. Okay. So it's important to to weigh, to say, hey, like here is this meal, it's Moroccan. What spices go with it? And it's important to say, hey, is this chicken, beef, lamb, or veggies only? So it's and also if it's chicken, if it's seafood. At least in the north of Morocco, Tétouan, which is where I was raised, when we cook the fish, we usually use coriander herbs, the coriander herb, and garlic. We do not put parsley with the fish. We put it with some kind of fish, not always, but usually if it's fish, you're gonna put coriander and garlic. With other dishes, you can customize, but again, you don't always have to put a lot of spices in them for it to be authentic.
I love learning, more about that because we see this with, Chinese restaurants here in the United States, Italian restaurants, that we kind of put our own spin on it. And that, what you just said there, the truth of Moroccan spices, it does play a role, but it's not overly used. It's not in everything.
Yes. Yeah. And, I like something when, you can take a dish and say, hey, like I'm going to put a Moroccan spice, I'm going to call it, for example, I don't know, Moroccan something, but
Mhm.
it's important, if you are making, for example, couscous, you can put couscous with Moroccan spices, but you cannot call it Moroccan couscous if you just put, like a bunch of, so, name it something else, is my point.
Uh-huh.
So that's pretty much it.
It's such great, insight though into the culture, which is what I love. And I'd love to learn, we mentioned couscous, a couple other recipes, we talked about breakfast. So Leila, dive into, part of your website is dedicated to these Moroccan recipes. What would you say are the classic Moroccan dishes if you had to boil it down to just a few? And what are those like?
Okay, that is a tricky question because I have a lot of favorites. Okay. It's like you have a bunch of kids and you're picking your favorites. Um, so I think I'm gonna go with the one that is the most convenient that you can use. If you are hosting guests or if you are in a bad mood or in a good, if you're happy, if you're celebrating. I think I'm gonna pick the tagine.
Mm.
Tagine is the iconic dish of Morocco. It was originally created by the Berbers, and it is. I would like to clarify just one thing, please, because like it could be confusing for some people. When you say tagine, it could mean two things.
Okay.
First of all, tagine is a clay pot. It's actually, you can see it here in the back.
Ah, yeah, they're red.
Yeah, that is a tagine.
Wow.
Tagine is actually a clay pot that was invented by the Berbers, and it's a dish actually. It's a cookware that you use to cook food in. The dish that is actually cooked inside the tagine pots is also called the tagine.
Mm.
So it could mean either the cookware or the dish. Okay, so the tagine dish is actually just slow cooked meat seasoned with simple or complex, with your favorite spices. You season it, you cook it, you slowly cook it in the pot for, I don't know, for at least 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours. The longer the better. And then you top it with veggies. You can top it with a bunch of veggies. You can top it with one or two. It's up to you. And sometimes it is topped with dried foods such as dried apricots or dried plums. And if you're doing dried plums, you're gonna add a bunch of fried blanched almonds on top of it, just to add it, to add a crispy texture to it, and some sesame seeds on top. And then the tagine is usually served with the bread on the side and Moroccan mint tea. Just to mention. That is, I think, my favorite dish in the website. As I said, you can customize it. Whether you are following, a vegan diet, you can use veggies only. If you are following a keto diet, you can just use, meat or and carrots or meat and zucchini, and if you are, I think it's very diabetic friendly. The tagine is, because it doesn't you don't use a lot of carbs in there. Of course, unless you're using potatoes, but it's I think you can adapt it to a lot of diets, and you can adapt it to a lot of use it for a lot of occasions, whether you're celebrating or you're just having dinner or lunch with your family. So that would be my choice, I guess.
Sounds delicious. And do you make the bread that it's served with from scratch, Leila?
Yes, I love making bread from scratch. Of course, when I'm in a rush, I just buy it from the store, but it does not compare. First of all, I think just the smell of bread cooking inside the house just makes the house so warm and so cozy, and that's. I really don't eat much, I promise. I do. But it's just the experience, just, making the bread and, serving it and making a bunch of things. In Morocco, you sit around the table and you do have the main dish, but you also have a lot of other small sides around it. You don't have just one or two. You have just a lot of appetizers, like around. You add, Moroccan salads, you add olives. There you cannot have lunch or dinner without olives on the side. You put like sliced cucumbers, sauteed bell peppers and stuff. Beans, we love eating beans. We call lubia or lentils. And so, this way, and as I said, it's usually a round table. This way, everybody sees everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also usually a communal dish. It's one dish that everybody eats from. Of course, everybody washes their hands beforehand. You just break the bread and you eat from your side. You don't eat from from all. You don't jump over the top.
Uh-huh.
And it's just sharing. Sharing just one dish. You don't serve the food in different plates. You serve it in one main dish. And once you break the bread with people, that's it. They become family. That's why food is important back in Morocco. You invite somebody over, you break the bread with them. That means a lot to both sides. That's it. They have become family.
Oh, awesome.
So when you're coming over
to Morocco?
No, here to Texas. I'm not in Morocco now.
We'll have to both go to Morocco. That way you can visit again. And then
yes, that would be awesome. I would love to make you visit. That would be great.
Leila, I wanted to ask also about, you talked I think briefly, very, very briefly earlier about I don't know if it was quite a dessert, but you mentioned about like honey drizzled over it. So that made me think of desserts. What are desserts like in Moroccan food?
Okay, so there are two kinds of desserts in Morocco. You have the dessert that you eat after lunch or dinner, and then you have the tea time desserts.
Mm-hmm.
The dessert that you eat after lunch or dinner is usually just fruits. That is why the Moroccan food is very, very healthy, or the Moroccan diet is healthy, because you just eat a bunch of veggies and fruits all the time, or olives or nuts.
Uh-huh.
And so you have a basket of fruits that you put on the table. It's usually, bananas, apples, and seasonal fruits, whatever is in season, And then you have the not so healthy tea time desserts. That is usually made of, of nuts. It's our majority, I would say, of our cookies are made of nuts. They're either made of almonds and almond paste, or walnuts, or raisins, or a mixture of those. And sometimes those desserts, they are dipped in honey before indulging. And then on the side, we also sometimes eat the flatbread and the pancakes as desserts. And then we have other, French pastries, of course, such as the millefeuille, which they call the Napoleon. And then you have, chocolate croissant and other things that we put on the side. They're not really Moroccan, but we do eat those on regularly.
Very sweet.
Very, very sweet. It's very dangerous too.
Yeah, I know your website is filled with such amazing recipes, and I know those desserts are a standout kind of their own as well. So
yeah, well, actually, I do love desserts when it comes to Moroccan desserts, but I do not have a lot of Moroccan desserts in there, to be honest. I have just focused on the tagines, and then other dishes so far. But in the future, I'm going to add more, because I've had some requests about, Moroccan biscotti. We call khas, and it is just a version of biscotti that is made of almonds and raisins. Some families add walnuts, but we don't. And it's also, it is, if you think about it, it's pretty nutritious, because it has nuts, and it also has seeds. It has sesame, fennel, and anise seeds, and it's also very tasty. It goes well with the tea and coffee both. So that's something I'm going to be doing in the future.
Awesome. Well, I'll have to keep a lookout for that. That is wonderful. Leila, that makes me then think of, this conversation has been amazing. I can't, fail to mention that, but also your website, for everyone who's watching, who everyone's going to watch, later on after we post this to IGTV, what, or where I should say, where can we find more of what you do? We know you're on Instagram, you have a website. Kind of take us through those. If you're anywhere else that we can, stay more connected with you, make your recipes, stay in touch with new things that you're putting out. Tell us more.
Yeah, so every time I post something on my websites, I do post it on Instagram and Facebook both. My Instagram is Petit Apron, and Facebook is the same Petit Apron. My website is petitapron.com. And if you go to the main web page, the homepage, you're gonna find the recent recipes that I have, that I posted recently. But if you go to the menu and you click on the hamburger bar, you're gonna find, the menu index, and that is actually categorized by so many categories. It's you can browse by course, which is breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, tea time. You can also browse by cuisine, Moroccan, Mediterranean, American, or international. And also you can browse by diets. I have their vegan, keto, gluten-free, and vegetarian, I guess. I'm sorry, I forgot. And also, if you can't find the recipe or the whatever you're looking for, you can just go to the bar and type in, the ingredients or the diets or whatever you're looking for. If you can't find something that is that could or could not be there, just text me, email me. My email is petitapron@gmail.com. Or reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. That's fine too.
Wonderful. I love everything that you do, Leila. It is beautiful, delicious. It shows that you have that marketing background because just how, people consume that information, no pun intended, with your recipes and photos and everything like that. So thank you so much for your time today, sharing all your Moroccan food knowledge and culture knowledge. It's been a wonderful conversation, and I encourage anyone watching to comment, ask questions, tag Leila at Petite Apron, just to stay engaged and continue enjoying Moroccan food.
Thank you so much. And may I say one last thing? I tried your pesto and it's amazing. Jessica made an amazing pesto. She called it the Moroccan pesto. You can spread it on anything you want. It's just amazing. I love it. Thumbs up. And thank you so much for having me here today.
You're so welcome. Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.